Welcome to the Meaningful Mediation Podcast, the place where leading lawyers and negotiators share their best tips and strategies for mediation and negotiation. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, a full-time Florida mediator and lawyer. My goal is to help you have an effective and meaningful mediation. Each episode will provide you with real-world strategies and tips to help you negotiate and mediate with confidence. Let's get to it. So if there was a younger lawyer listening to this on their drive home, what are your 3 top tips for getting a better outcome at that table?
Starting the case from the day you sign it as if you're going to try the case. If you do that and you develop your strategy and you keep that strategy throughout, by the time you get to the mediation, usually mediations when you're in suit, by the time you get there, I mean, your cases, you have something rock solid that you can present to that insurance company. And it gives the mediator ammunition that they can take into the adjuster. And it allows that insurance adjuster to see that, you're ready on this case. And I think that would definitely be one thing that I would tell somebody. Number 2 is visuals. We don't really think about this. Uh, you know, I our firm's always been ahead on technology. Like I remember a couple of years ago, we were at something and, they asked, entire room of attorneys down in Collier County. There was a CLE, a professionalism CLE, that was all day long. And they were talking about AI and, they were asked, about AI. The only 2 people that raised their hands to say that they use AI are my associate and myself. And I bring that up because when COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of attorneys that had no idea what Zoom was. I mean, for me, I was already using Zoom. I was already, and attorneys that had cases against me knew what Zoom was. But I knew how to share exhibits. I knew how to draw on exhibits. I think presenting visuals are huge, especially on premises liability cases, slip and fall, trip and falls. I have, for instance, if, I have this raised sidewalk and notice is an issue and when somebody trip and falls. So I went back because Google Street Maps is incredible. You can actually year after year after year, you know, f- they'll be down street every so many years. You can actually see when they put that tree in, how it grew and how it just raised over the years and how it stayed there. So we were able to, once I showed the county that notice, that case solved. And I was able to do it right there at the mediation. So I think using visuals, knowing how, not just using them, but knowing how to use them, how to draw them in, what order to put them in, don't, have your, either put it in a PowerPoint so, you're ready to go through, or have your tabs open where you can just go from one visual to the next and you have a nice thematic flow to it. So I think that is huge in mediations because it gives, once again, the mediator something to look at. So they can go back and they're armed to talk to that adjuster. And that adjuster, they may have been thinking it one way. And now, if they don't have the authority, they may need to call for the authority and say, listen, I'm watching this presentation and I think we're going to lose a liability. We spoke about this case. We were talking about, that there's no way they're going to show notice. I'm telling you, they're going to show notice here. So I think visuals, it just paints a picture. Look at that. And I guess the third thing is, if you're looking
Well,
at,
that's just another part of
yeah,
storytelling, right?
yeah, it's just another
Words, it's actions, and images.
images. The third thing I would say from a plaintiff's perspective, I don't know so much from a defense perspective, but view that insurance adjuster. You don't view them as the adversary, view them as the juror that you got to prove your case to. You've got to show them. Now, does that mean you show them every bit of strategy you're going to use at trial? Absolutely not. You can give a presentation and not give up, the strategy, but you can tell that story to that insurance adjuster thematically all the way through. down to your damages and what you're gonna show the juror. If you want them to, where they're offering you 50 and it's a 250 policy and you want that 250 policy because your client's been injured, show them, tell them that story from start to finish. If they're offering you less money because of liability, walk them through, and you use the perfect word, storyteller. Walk them through that story, as if they were a juror. So you can make sure that if they don't have that money, they're on that phone getting that money, before that mediator even walks in the door.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Meaningful Mediation Podcast. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Additional episodes can be found on YouTube and your favorite podcast channels. Until next time, less dispute, more resolution.